News Radio 700 WLW.
So we all, I hope, had a good Thanksgiving, and that invariably involves eating. And sometimes eating is good, and sometimes eating is not so good. 1/4 of us in the United States are still carrying the weight we gained at the end of last year. About 2,000 people in this country were surveyed. It revealed that 60% of us gained weight towards the end of 2021, a time of the year when many people celebrate by exchanging gifts and apparently calories. Now, this poll was conducted by, Herbalife Nutrition. Writing off the end of the year, it found 60% of us planning to postpone our healthy habits have already started, admitting mid-November is their cutoff point. 49% of us surveyed found that we are waiting until the new year to try and lose weight, which means what? We're going to put on a lot of weight between now and the end of the year. That is not good. It's not good. Over anything is never good. Somebody that knows that is standing by to weigh in. Greg McCoy is a certified personal trainer with more than 12 years of experience. Thousands of clients are on his resume. And he's standing by to join us right now. Greg, how are you on this glorious Saturday?
Hey, Ken, I'm great. How are you?
I'm well, and I'm not overweight. I know that, but I know a lot of people are. And what is it about this time of the year where people are just, throwing things down their throat that they might not in April, May, or June?
It's a backwards momentum that takes a hold of us. It's, not one meal on Thanksgiving or one meal at Christmas isn't going to derail anybody. The hard part becomes, you've got the Thanksgiving with your family, maybe the Thanksgiving with your spouse's family, maybe the Thanksgiving at your kid's school, maybe Thanksgiving at the office. And then the same thing happens for Christmas. And, when we've got, what was 2 meals to kind of celebrate, which is healthy in its own right, and isn't going to get anyone too off track. You turn that into, 12 to 15 meals, and then you've got this backwards momentum where you're like, well, I already blew my diet. What's anything more gonna do? You can see where the backward slide starts to happen.
Yeah, and at this time of the year in our area of the country, in a lot of places, unfortunately, people get into a sedentary state of being. It's difficult to go out and jog in the snow. It's awfully difficult sometimes to even get in a car and drive to a gym. You have to really force yourself to do it. And it's not like where April, May, June, July, you're out taking walks, you're out jogging, you're out doing whatever you do. So you almost have to discipline yourself to do that at this time of the year, and a lot of people don't want to do that, do they?
No, that's it. That's the hard thing is you have to act in a way that's different than the way you feel. As you mentioned, it's darker earlier. The weather isn't good. There's all these components that make it harder at this time of the year. So, we really recommend that you approach this time of the year with a plan, and it's never too late. So, if you're feeling full from Thanksgiving still, don't write off the next month and a half. You still have time, and it's just have a strategy in place. And I like to compare it, and I think a lot of people can relate to this because another pressure that happens this time of the year is overspending, and the diet and your budget are a lot the same. Of course, if you want to spend a lot of money on a present for a significant other, that's fine. But you also likely probably reduced spending in other categories. So It's the same with your diet. If you're going to indulge in several occasions, you need to reduce in other areas so that you don't break the bank.
Yeah, my dad had a great saying. It was everything in moderation, just everything in moderation. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at this survey and some of the respondents' remarks. 41% say they've eaten more than one dessert at a meal. Well, okay. Honestly, do you need that second dessert? I'm sure it's good. Maybe it'll taste just as good 2 days down the road, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what we actually like to advise our clients, to take that time, if that's going to be Thanksgiving, eat to your heart's desire, enjoy the time. But when the time is up, you don't continue to do it. So I'm okay. Yeah, of course, try a few of the pies after Thanksgiving or after Christmas dinner, but you need to have a cutoff. There has to be a period where you're going back into reducing calories to end up in a balance. So and there's a lot of practical ways that you can do that. So have healthy food on hand, or don't keep the leftovers. I know that you can feel like, oh, it's not right to throw out grandmother's pie. She worked hard on this.
Yeah.
But when the meal is over, either hand off the leftovers to somebody else or just throw them away. It's you guys enjoyed it, and you don't need to pick on it for the next 7 days.
Yeah, and 26% say eaten an extra large midnight snack. I'm surprised it's that low. Maybe some people weren't being honest. I think that's a great temptation for a lot of folks, but is there a certain time of the night where it's just not good to eat anything, let alone something sugary?
I would put that pretty low on the priority list of things people need to worry about. There is a little bit of evidence towards it. If you're eating late at night, it's going to affect the way that you sleep and the way that you metabolize food through the night. But it's such a small percentage. I think, mainly what people need to worry about is a calorie balance over the course of the day. And there's been, there's what they call meta studies, which are studies of studies. And we've studied every form of weight loss diet that there is. And the summation of it all is pick the one that works for you, because they all work. They just don't all work at the same time. So timing is one of those things that you don't want to get too tied up in the small details.
Yeah, is there a line? I was always told you can't run from a bad diet. Doesn't matter what you do, a bad diet will get you. But is there a line where exercise goes that it won't make up for a diet? What I'm saying is people will say, well, I'll eat this, I'll drink this, and then tomorrow I'll go to the gym and I'll work it all off. There's got to be a point of no return on that, right?
Yeah, well, Men's Health is great about this. So they'll always put a little column or in their emails a thing about what does it take to burn off that piece of pie? And it's really hard to out-exercise a bad diet. I mean, if you're to eat, 3,000 calories in a meal, which is not, with the amount of butter and sugar and things in some of these Thanksgiving dishes, that's not that hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
To burn 3,000 calories, I mean, you're going to have to be working out intensely for several hours. So it's not like you can't go walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes. You might burn off like a half a piece, a couple bites of pie, so you can get behind pretty fast.
Yeah. We're talking about overeating and how 42% of us in this survey say we expect to overeat and put on weight between now and the end of the year. Greg McCoy is a fitness expert. He is at Hidden Gym, HIDDENGYM.net. We haven't even gotten into this, and I want to. There's a tremendous amount of alcohol consumed in this country between this past Thursday and the end of the year. And it's not just beer, it's not just wine, it's not just bourbon. It's some of these exotic drinks that are made and consumed, like eggnog and white chocolate mochas and white Russians and things like that. That's where a lot of these calories are, correct?
Yeah, liquid calories are some of the easiest to consume, and it's the easiest way to really extrapolate the amount of calories you're taking in, because you don't feel full when you're just drinking it, and you're maybe washing down calories that you're eating with more calories, and it's not very dense. You can drink it down and it's not that bad. But yeah, the liquid calories can really get out of control. So that's one of the easiest ways if you're looking for places to quote unquote budget, if we want to use the financial analysis. Dropping liquid calories is one of the easiest places to do it.
Yeah, and fat. These things are just loaded with fat, and fat obviously is not good, which means there's probably a load of sugar in them, and that's not good. I mean, I'm just looking. I'm looking here, like 225 calories in a peppermint white chocolate mocha. Even coffee, if you're going to try and gin up your coffee with Kahlua or whatever it is. I mean, there's calories in that as well. I don't know about how you feel about this, but I think there's entirely too much alcohol consumed in this country anyway. I mean, it just seems like everybody has got an expert opinion on bourbon and craft beers and things like that, and all of that's fine. There just seems to be a lot of it, doesn't there?
Yeah, it's there's really, and this is always a hard truth to pass on to clients and members, but there's really no good reason to drink. I mean, strictly from the fuel aspect, it does nothing positive for you. It inhibits, like, you're not going to process protein the same way until you've cleared out all of the alcohol. The alcohol itself carries almost as many calories per ounce as a gram of fat, so it's dense, and it does not provide a good energy source. You know, there's really just there's nothing good about it outside of in the moment, you know, feeling a little more jolly, right? So
yeah, and there's something to be said for that. I mean, there is something to be said for that, because you can't be a Debbie Downer. I'm not going to eat any of this stuff. I'm not going to drink any of this stuff. And then all of a sudden you got nobody around you because you're not fun. But I think, again, we go back to what we talked about earlier, moderation. Just, you know, you just have to be sensible about what you do. And I think if you are, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah, and that's, you know, for some people it works well to be moderate all the time, you know, have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you don't get too far off course. Whereas others, and this is honestly where we find more success, is, you know, we have clients that will stay strict for a longer period of time, and then we just give them total freedom for maybe it's a set amount of hours or a couple number of meals throughout the week. So you don't feel like you're always restricted. So that tends to be one philosophy or the other that people, and it's really just what works for you. They're both good strategies, but the fact, you know, the best advice is to come into these holidays with a plan, and you have to realize if you're going to indulge, you need to pay it back somewhere else.
I heard those days referred to as cheat days. You don't call them cheat days, do you?
No, we like to call them refeeds. So, you know,
Yes.
you're in a deficit for several days, and then we're going to refeed a little bit.
I love it.
Because you're not cheating; it's on purpose. It's part of the plan.
Right, exactly. It's all part of the grand plan. The good stuff. I hope I hope your advice is taken to heart, because it doesn't sound like a lot of people are thinking about it. They're just eating and doing things that they are probably going to regret come January. Greg McCoy, good stuff. Again, you can find Greg at hiddengym.net. Thank you, Greg. Stay well. We'll talk down the road, I'm sure.
Thank you, Ken. Talk to you soon.